everybody, welcome back, and today we are going to be doing the Perfect Palette Tag 2. Now, Kimberly Clark tagged me in this video, or to do this video, a while ago, but I had never done the original, so I did the original, and I cheated because I did a high-end version and a low-end version, or a high-end version and a drugstore version, and I'm going to do the same thing with the Perfect Palette Tag 2, but this time I'm going to switch it up, and I'm going to do the higher-end version first. So yeah, let's jump into it. I'm going to read the questions off my phone. First question, eyeliner, brush, or nothing included in the palette? For me, that would depend. I would say if it's a Urban Decay palette, eyeliner. If it's any other palette like Anastasia, Cargo makes some good brushes, I would say brushes. So I would say it just depends on what company is making the palette, but most of the time I really enjoy getting the Urban Decay 24/7 slide on, glide on pencils in their palettes because they're awesome. Question number 2, a palette you have hit pan on. Now guys, I have a ton of makeup, I have a ton of eyeshadow palettes, and I don't think I've hit pan on any one of my palettes. And that's just because I honestly do rotate things in and out so often, and I'm like really, there's a couple that I'm really close to though, and the one is Walk of Shame from the Naked Basics palette. I'm really close to hitting pan on that. And a couple more that I'm really close to hitting pan on are Champagne in the Lorac Pro and Cream in the Lorac Pro, because I love using those on brides, so I'm very close to hitting pan on those. But I really do try and rotate everything in and out of my collection so everything gets a little bit of love, so I don't pan things a lot. Question is your favorite Naked palette, and I think this is any kind of neutral kind of themed after the Naked palettes, but for me it is definitely the Naked Basics. I love this. Again, you know, I've used this to death. Walk of Shame I just talked about. This is just such a great, easy, everyday palette. It's got everything you need in there to create a complete eye look or to complement any other palette in your collection, and it's just great. It's great for travel. I love, love, love the basic palettes. The next question is favorite holiday or limited edition palette, and for me it is Too Faced, a few of my favorite things. And the reason for this is this came out in 2013, right when I was starting my channel, so it was one of those very first like exciting purchases when I was really starting to get into, you know, some of these different types of brands, and I just love it. First off, you get, the packaging's adorable, but then you get some really pretty brushes and bronzers in here, and then the actual shades themselves are just so pretty. I mean, it's just a great eyeshadow palette. You've got your neutrals, you've got your pops of color. It's just so much fun. It's such a fun, gorgeous palette. It's just, Too Faced just did it right. I mean, it was just, I haven't gotten any of their holiday palettes since then, just because I had this one, and I feel like, I mean, I really just don't need any other holiday palettes because they're all trying to live up to this holiday palette. So I absolutely love the A Few of My Favorite Things palette. It's so good. Question number 5, a palette you would repurchase or wish you had a backup of if it is no longer available. For me, that is one of the old school Stila palettes. It is the In the Know palette. This one right here. I love this palette. It is all matte. It is beautiful. It came with a smudge stick, which I love. You get cool neutrals, warm neutrals, and they're just beautiful. This is just one of the best matte formulas. I mean, I absolutely adore this palette. I love it, and I don't use it as much as I want to because I have this irrational fear that I'm going to run out of it and never going to be able to get it again, which I can't because it's no longer available. But this, if you run into this palette or find it on Poshmark, or not Poshmark, on like what's the site where you can buy used makeup? What is it? Glambot or something like that. I'll link the site down below. But if you ever run into this palette, I highly recommend it. I think it's just a beautifully stunning matte palette. Question number 6, a shade you wish was sold individually. That's really easy for me. For this one comes out of the Lorac Mega Pro 2, and I just think it's such a really unique shade, and it is Olivine. It's this one right here. It's such a beautiful shade. It's one of those just kind of greenish gray tones that's just absolutely stunning. It's got a little bit of gold in there. It's just so unique, and it's just beautiful, and I wish Lorac sold all of their shadows individually because that would just make my heart happy, but they don't. But if they ever do, I will be purchasing Olivine because it's just It's so pretty. Question number 7, wild card. Pick a question from the original Perfect Palette tag to answer again. For me, that would be packaging. I know in the original Perfect Palette tag, I said that the Tartelette palette had the best packaging, and it's might have possibly been replaced by this one. This is the Urban Decay Gwen Stefani palette. It just feels so nice. It's so sturdy. It feels substantial. The packaging, the detail, the dimension to it. I know it's hard to see, but there's just dimension and layer to it. And it's just, you open it up, you get a beautiful mirror, and very much like the Tartelette palette. See how dirty my mirror is? Very much like the Tartelette palette. It's very sleek. It's compact. It's just beautiful. It just is one of those palettes that just looks so sophisticated and sleek and just high fashion, and I absolutely love looking at that palette on my vanity. All right, and then the last question is the palette you would recommend to a friend. And I know I talked about this one in my last video. I can't help it. It's just good, guys. And that is the Chocolate Bar palette, the original. And I'll say it again. The reason why I would recommend this is because, and you know, you would think maybe a Lorac Pro palette or an Urban Decay palette, but for somebody who's not quite as proficient with eyeshadows, sometimes those uber pigmented shadows can be just as difficult as something that's not pigmented enough. They can be a little intimidating, and it can be very difficult to learn, and you get frustrated with it when everything just kind of turns muddy or patchy or whatever the case may be. I feel like this palette is great because you get a nice mix of neutrals, warm tones, a little bit cooler tones. You get some nice highlight shades in here. They're all super blendable. They're beautiful formula. But the thing is that they're not so over the top and crazy pigmented. Not that they're not pigmented, but they're just not so intense that they're going to be intimidating and difficult to work with. I just think this is such a great palette. And again, I know I've said this before, but I feel like whenever I go to this palette, I always like the look that I get out of it. And I think it's just a great palette. I think it's a great palette for beginners. If you're talking to somebody that maybe is looking to invest in a higher end palette and they like those neutral looks with maybe just a few pops of color, because you do have the purple in here, you have the purple, you have this beautiful olive green color, you know, you've got the pink. I just think this is a great palette. I just think it's a perfect beginner palette. So that is the one I would recommend to a friend. All right, everybody, so that is my Perfect Palette Tag 2. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your answers down below, or if you've done this tag, let me know down below. Link it down below so I can check out your video. But I wanted to tag Rebecca Sayers and Christina Sanders. They are amazing. I'm going to link their channels down below. Let's go give them some love and support. And ladies, let me know when you do this tag because I would love to see it. But I hope you guys have an amazing day. Have a rockin' week, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.